My wife and I, we're here on Heaven's Hollow Farm. Jennifer's grandfather bought this farm back in 1951. There's quite a legacy there that we're trying to continue with our 4 kids. I'm a first-generation producer, so we background cattle. We do about 500 of those calves a year, and then we also do some pastured poultry, and we direct market, and we do some hogs that we direct market with pork from. And then we did some custom grazing of cattle this summer too. We took on 30 other cows from another producer and raised those up. And then we have a bull leasing enterprise as well. I've always kind of had an interest in agriculture, and I always found myself in the libraries at the school, trying to find farming books. And so at that point I couldn't sleep at night because I was dreaming about it, and now I fall asleep right away because I do it every day and I'm tired. Well, everybody's got to eat, and we get fuel from agriculture and clothing, so yeah, it supplies the essential things that we need as humans. To be able to work from the house and have the kids at home, homeschooling, it provides a lot of opportunity for them to learn on the farm. They can read something in a textbook in school, but until they actually see it in application, I don't feel like they fully grasp it. So we have cattle primarily. So pretty much we're taking cattle like what's here. We're buying those at the sale barn. A lot of times those cattle haven't been vaccinated. Maybe they haven't had a good nutritional program from where they're coming from. Maybe the pastures aren't as good where these cattle are coming from. And so I tell people it's like flipping houses. You buy an old rundown house that's mismanaged. You have the skill set and the resources to fix them up, and then you sell them with higher value. And so that's what we're doing with these cattle. We're giving them a good home. Our goal is to never have a bad day with these cattle. So it's raining today. These are under roof. These were just brought in this week from the sale. And we get them acclimated by hand feeding them hay for the first week, get them lower stress, healthy, and then we'll put them out on our pastures. And this time of year we have stockpile fescue, so it's really high quality forage, and we'll rotate those around to polywire and get some good gains there. So right now our hogs, I would love to go towards more of a pasture, woodlot type hog situation that we haven't gotten there yet. Right now we're using our old dairy barn with a lot that's built out from there. They can go outside and exercise and get some sunlight. But right now they're not currently rotated across pastures, mostly due to fencing constraints and concerns over rooting up and disturbing the soil. For the pastured poultry, we've got them on a chicken tractor, kind of a structure that we can rotate 2 to 3 times a day across our pasture. And once they leave an area, you can see a whole lot more depth of green in the color of the forages, and the cattle follow behind that. And so that rotation has worked very well for us. We believe you can really taste the difference in the chicken. We haven't bought chicken wing store in so long, but it just seems to maintain the juiciness and the flavor. You can reheat it in the oven over and over, and it still has juice in it. The mindset around regenerative is making the soils better, making the communities better, and reinvigorating it versus maintaining what you already have. Everybody has a different definition of regenerative, and to me it's just a continual process and a journey. I think if anybody says they accomplished regenerative, then they're probably wrong in my opinion. I think the challenge is when folks work at regenerative primarily just from a soil health standpoint. There's a lot of focus on carbon, carbon sequestration, climate change, all those things. But in my mind, if we put too much emphasis on the soil health and we don't focus as much on water or on producer profitability or producer lifestyle and work-life balance, like all those have to come into play as well. And so it's a lot more complex than I think what a lot of folks give it credit to. I've seen folks that supposedly do a really good job at grazing, but they're just terrible business people, or they're moving cattle 6 times a day and they don't have time to do anything else. And so it's all in balance and kind of taking a holistic approach. So in this region, we have hot fescue, infected fescue, and it makes it a bit challenging to put weight on cattle during the summer. And so our model is changing to where I'm looking at getting some more custom grazing of mature cows during the summer, and they can handle the fescue a little bit better. and then switching to grazing our younger growing type cattle in the winter will stockpile fescue. We have a mixture of cool season grasses and forages like the clovers and fescue and orchard grass, but we also have planted, with the help of USDA, NRCS, and switchgrass native warm seasons, and so they're really deep-rooted, good for resiliency during the summer or dry time, and produce a really big forage for grazing cattle. Being adaptive would be exactly that, taking into account the weather, taking into account the forage height after you've grazed, the animal behavior, their body conditioning, being observant and knowing the context is really important when you're doing adaptive grazing, and always mixing it up, not starting in the same place and grazing that order every year, but then the next year coming to a different field and reversing it, and just allowing those plants to express themselves differently is important. So it has been dry, but we were pretty fortunate. I mean, we try to keep our stocking rates in line with our forage and our pastures. We also have adopted flexibility in our herd. So when I was talking earlier about brood cows and producers have so many cows and a bull and the calves, producers are reluctant to let some of those cattle go if it starts getting dry. Versus with stocker cattle, we can fluctuate our numbers depending upon the forage that we have available and the weather. And so we don't have a written drought plan, but just kind of keeping an eye on things, and we're in a region where we can find ground to lease. If you're out in the community and if you're involved, then you can find some land to run cattle on. And so we always try to rent way more land than what we actually need, because it's so cheaper than buying hay. For this, I worked 6 years for a local co-op, and in that role I was a field sales rep. So do a lot of soil sampling, a lot of fertilization, a lot of herbicide applications to control weed. And now I don't even know what a weed is. If the animal eats it and if it can help build soil, then I come to the conclusion that there's no such thing. And so you just change the lens and what you see things. And we haven't used herbicides for many, many years. Same thing with fertilizer, and we just let the cattle do the work. We got started direct marketing. Well, we don't have brood cows now, which is different from a lot of producers. A lot of producers will have a mama cow, a bull, they produce a calf, they raise the calf, and they sell it. We got rid of our brood cows last year because we ran the numbers on them, and it just wasn't a high profitable enterprise for us. But that's how we got started with marketing. So back at the last height of the cattle market in 2014 and 15, we bought some really expensive bred heifers, and several of them decided they didn't want to be cows, and they lost their calves, or they didn't accept the calves when they were born, and they were just the right age, just the right condition to go ahead and turn into an edible product, a tasty product for consumers. And so at that point, the cattle market started dropping, and the only way we were going to recoup our money was through adding that value. That's how we got started direct marketing. The pandemic allowed us to meet a lot of new people that were looking for a more consistent local feed supply. And we've enjoyed getting to know customers and their families, having them out to the farm, teaching them about agriculture. And so we have that side of the beef business, but then the larger revenue stream that we have is through backgrounding stocker calves that we buy from the sale barn. We kind of look at that as an opportunity to help cover our overhead costs until we can grow our direct marketing business to a point, of greater returns. It certainly takes a lot more effort to do direct marketing, to find that customer base. We've got an online store that we'll do. We don't do a farmer's market. I never have. Takes a bit too much time. I work a full-time job, and therefore I can't go out on Saturdays to a farmer's market. But we do have an online store, and then word of mouth is really big for us.
Okay.
We sell most of our beef as quarters, halves, wholes, but we do sell individual cuts as well. Aha moments, yeah, I would say our first conservation practice where we excluded cattle from the stream to retain cattle in a field, it doesn't take a whole lot. we overbuilt our fence. You know, we put in heavy duty wooden fence posts. We put in woven wire. It was pretty costly, and we're still paying down that loan that we took to put in those conservation practices. Even with the cost share, we still had money that we owed. Versus my last project that was just finalized this past week, we went with sucker rod fiberglass poles that we could drive by hand with a T-post driver, 2 strands of high potential electric. The cattle can eat up underneath there to keep the grass off the fence, keep the vines off, and it was super duper cheap. And so that was kind of one of my aha moments. I'd say at this point, you know, most of what we've done has been in our buffer areas, our streams. And it's interesting, we've done a couple of pasture walks out here, and biologists will come and they look and they're like, oh my goodness, look at all these natives. Like, we didn't plant any of it. It was here in the seed bank, and just gave it rest, allowed it to express itself. And so that's been really fun to see all the colors and the butterflies and the bees in the summer. And then, you know, with the native warm season grasses that you planted, we can graze them, but they also, this time of year, act as really good habitats for quail, turkey, deer, these types of things. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, but it's rewarding. In the U.S., we painted the farmer as like servant or somebody that people feel sorry for, and I don't know if I necessarily buy into that. I mean, it's our choice to farm. It's our choice to get in agriculture. You wouldn't do it if you didn't love it. Or it's a roller coaster ride. There's lots of ups, there's lots of downs. My theory is, as long as you have more ups and downs, then you keep doing it, because there's, like I said, a lot of value there. Knowing that you're producing a product that people enjoy and that you're raising the family, you know, on the farm. I also want people to know that it's a journey. I think the challenge with me is a lot of people despise what they do full-time, and so they're striving to be a full-time producer. And I love what I do as Madison Farmland Trust and helping other farmers, and so I don't foresee really giving that up. So right now I've got a part-time guy. He's 18. He comes 2 to 3 days a week, and so we're looking at how can we create more processes and standardize what we do, trying to maybe invest in some land, maybe go with agritourism, some glamping. Since we don't go to farmers markets, maybe do some more events. We have to make sure that it creates a profit, otherwise it's just community service. And I'm all for community service, but I also have very limited time, and so I want to spend that with my family too.